do these special reports? Well, I have a new one tonight we've been working on. This is about a plan that, one, could put Donald Trump back on Twitter with the help from the world's richest man, Elon Musk. It's our special report, also with a fact check on what you need to know about Musk's latest claims about free speech and democracy next. To our special report on a big new step in this ongoing clash over big tech. Many have been confronting the companies that they say damage all sorts of issues in our society, from equality to democracy.
Social media under fire.
We've already seen big tech use their size and use their scope to rig marketplaces.
Elon Musk is a danger to Twitter and to freedom of speech.
Mr. Musk hates the SEC, and it's childish, it's immature, and it's narcissistic.
Maybe we should be asking ourselves why one company is trying to monopolize the internet, communication platforms, and digital commerce, and maybe we should break them up.
Break up big tech. This has been a conversation for a minute now, and policy and politics have not fully adjusted to what has become this massive power of tech companies and those titans who run them. The fact is, the largest companies today are not banks or oil companies anymore. They are the top tech companies. And the people who founded them are far richer than any other people in the entire history of capitalism. That's a big deal. That's a big shift. And America has laws that restrict, for example, how many TV stations and newspapers one person can own. That's something Rupert Murdoch has run into. But those laws were written before Congress could imagine this kind of massive media power on this new set of internet tubes and platforms. So that regulatory loophole is a reason that we are witnessing a current debate over whether the publicly traded company, Twitter, can be bought and wholly owned by one person. In this case, the world's richest person, Elon Musk. The news tonight, he is racing to get financing to complete an acquisition to buy Twitter outright. He could mix his fortune with investor support and drop a whopping $43 billion to buy the whole thing. So this is a story of business and a story of speech. That's what powers Twitter, but also of politics. More than any other American, Donald Trump showed the reach and potential damage of Twitter as a platform. He literally used it to summon people to D.C. to stage an insurrection. Remember, he didn't give a national televised address. He's the president at the time, after all. He used Twitter to get to the people that he exactly wanted to get to and use an algorithm that stokes, at the time, exactly the kind of division and hate that he wanted. It was that, more than anything, that got him banned from the platform outright. And now Elon Musk is fanning the idea that Twitter is something different than the simple publisher. We know publishers can post or ban anyone. The New York Times doesn't have to run your letter or op-ed or article. That's true under practice, and it's true under law. But here we're seeing something different. Musk talking up the idea that Twitter, especially if he gets a hold of it, will be really a true town square where everyone, which would mean Donald Trump, can say virtually anything.
Well, I think it's very important for there to be an inclusive arena for free speech, where all, Twitter has become kind of the de facto town square. It's just really important that people have both the reality and the perception that they are able to speak freely within the bounds of the law.
That sounds like someone trying to get people back on the platform, if he were in charge. Now, Elon Musk is clever at business and strategy. He's made himself one of the more controversial, but also more popular members by the relative scale of his billionaire tech peers. He certainly, in many measures, is more beloved across the spectrum than a Zuckerberg or a Bezos. He's really played politics masterfully for his business interests as well. He sold kind of a green image on the left. He gathered government subsidies from both parties. In the Obama era, he was telling Congress all about the national security of space programs and positioning himself as a kind of responsible business steward with an eye on the public interest. Then he cozied up to Republicans for tax breaks, which many of these companies benefit from. And while Trump has made a point of clashing with Elon's tech peers like Bezos, Trump also has already clearly said in public he sees Musk as more of a potential ally.
I especially want to congratulate someone who truly embodies the American ethos of big thinking and risk-taking. He's a little different than a lot of other people. Elon Musk, congratulations.
And the feeling may be mutual, or at least it's perceived that way, and that's part of what's happening this week, whether you've been following this as a business story or a democracy story, because Elon Musk's very real push to get a hold of Twitter while talking about getting people back on Twitter has some very well-known Trump fans salivating over the thought that this business deal could unlock the art of the deal, if you will, and get Trump back online.
For once, this isn't about power and money. Musk is doing it to save free speech.
It's not an overstatement to say it could be the single most important development for free speech in the modern history of the United States.
The 5 people at this table all are fans of Elon Musk. I don't think that I overstate
all of us are.
it.
I am. This is a guy who's made a lot of money. He's been very successful. Loves this country and the freedoms it affords.
He's our Edison. This is our Thomas Edison. This is our Da Vinci of our generation.
Okay. First of all, it's always worth a little caution when people start declaring billionaires who are skilled at self-interest and amassing wealth as some kind of once-in-a-millennium innovator, creator, or artist. We saw Fox's Brian Kilmeade there. He almost sounded like another infamous Trump fan who's known for his own hyperbole, Kanye West.
I'm standing up and I'm telling you, I am Warhol. I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh, Walt Disney.
Picasso is dead. Steve Jobs is dead.
Walt Disney, that you can name in the same breath as them. I have ideas that can make the human race existence within our 100 years better.
Now, who's going to be the Medici family and stand up and let me create more?
Fall back, like, at least a little bit. I mean, this is what we're talking about. A world where billionaires declare themselves or their loud, powerful allies declare them at that level. If you want to be that historic, you're going to have to wait for history's judgment, which does take hundreds of years. That's history. Now, having said that, Musk is very talented, and he could improve Twitter as a business for users. That's possible. He also is doing things that matter, that are different than people who just move capital around. He's disrupting space travel. He is really changing the auto industry in some amazing and hopeful ways. Tesla is helping fight climate change while making money. There's no doubt about that. Each Tesla car cuts an estimated 500 pounds of CO2 a year while reducing the need for gas. That's why other rappers have shouted Elon Musk out for helping eliminate gas. As one famously said, "Can't see straight, these shades, Celine Dion, you can't gas me up." Shout out to Elon. And shout out to Tyler. So yes, nothing about the problems with this issue and corporate or individual control of Twitter takes away from Musk's rather impressive record. Reporting on this objectively doesn't require a negative view of him at all or the prospects here, but we put this report together to make something clear because this is a very big deal for democracy. The reporting shows, and the objective facts are, that Musk is a billionaire entrepreneur. You might say, duh, Ari, I already knew that. But what that means is his skills, his record, his role means self-interest, business, and profit is his motivation and his skill. And it will continue to be what he is about. Indeed, under law, he has a fiduciary duty to the investors that I told you tonight he's pursuing right now. He must maximize profits for them, even if he takes the company private. That's a fact. But yet he cultivates this image that he's focused on something else, this Da Vinci-level artist talk, this free-thinking advocate for free speech, this principled friend of MAGA, this fascinating iconoclast and celebrity who just happens to have tens of billions of dollars. Well, this isn't accidental. I told you he's brilliant. It's a wider strategic effort to cast him as something other than another business person doing a business deal, when that's what he is. So he's been very shrewd about positioning himself publicly as this free-thinking, fun-loving, softer, relatable person who can even cameo with the best of them.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be hosting Saturday Night Live.
Mr. Musk, how are you?
Congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Those Merlin engines are fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Good idea for an electric jet.
You do?
Yeah.
Then we'll make it work.
Good luck, Machete. Get the bastard. To anyone I've offended, I just want to say I reinvented electric cars and I'm sending people to Mars in a rocket ship. Did you think I was also going to be a chill, normal dude?
Okay. And he has done those things. The punchline is that he has no chill. And he's probably chill about very little. And he is very bright and strategic. And that is important here because we are talking about a platform that does impact our democracy in ways that, quite frankly, many in Congress don't even understand. They don't even claim to sometimes if you watch the tech oversight hearings. Political strategist Che Komanduri, who joined us earlier tonight, he says strategy is at play, that Musk deploys Twitter already is not a place to just have philosophical debates, but to, quote, promote his financial interests. Indeed, Musk spiked one cryptocurrency after tweeting that he was holding on to his investments. He's also helped impact Tesla's share price. It went up after a tweet about something he was going to announce at a press conference. He also delayed disclosing his own Twitter holdings to the SEC, which allowed him to buy the stock at an artificially low price, according to critics. And all of that is the times that Musk was just engaging Twitter as a user, not an owner, albeit a very influential one with over 75 million followers. If he becomes an owner of this platform, I want to be clear. Elon Musk could unilaterally do all kinds of things. They could be transparent or not. Nothing in our current laws would force his hand on a lot of the core running of the platform. The financial rules focus on the funding and the creditors, but not the secret sauce, not the algorithm, not whether he decides to just unilaterally restore Trump or Putin or takes other people down or secretly change what Twitter presents in order to play politics, which could also be, again, given his record, something he could do to enrich his companies that could probably be legal most of the time. Going back to Komanduri, he says Musk would be on a track to helping Trump and the GOP, which in turn will increase his own bank account. So Musk talks about limited government, but he's also gone further than most in attacking the legitimacy of democracies themselves. Again, you need to know this about someone who's going to have more power than the owner of the New York Times and the Washington Post combined if he gets a hold of Twitter. He's made the thin and really maybe dangerous argument that democracies are essentially just corporations with militaries.
The government is simply the biggest corporation with a monopoly on violence, and where you have no recourse.
The government is the biggest corporation. That's an argument. We can debate it, but the things that make people believe in their governments when they do well, when they're patriotic or stand up for civil rights or protect the little guy or find ways to help people who don't have value to a corporation, like children who aren't even allowed to work for them, well, that's different than a corporation. Corporations don't give out money to kids or school lunches or help people who fall on hard times. That's his view. Some credit for being transparent about it, but it is a long ways from what a lot of people believe democracy can provide. And when Musk says he's a libertarian, well, remember, in Silicon Valley, libertarian is often just code for Republican. He moved Tesla's headquarters out of that whole California blue state area to Texas to get tax cuts. Other companies were actually leaving Texas at the time because the state had a big government, anti-libertarian, anti-abortion law that put the government inside doctors' offices. A little bit of irony, but only hypocritical if you took the original claims seriously. Now, if you listen to Musk, he will tell you that his purchase of Twitter and the changes he will make will improve the platform and help free speech, and also along the way be profitable. The reporting shows, and his record reveals, that many of his past claims about ideology and principle remain negotiable for the bottom line. And by the way, that doesn't make him a bad businessman, but let's just talk about what he is. Musk did not create the patchwork of laws that let billionaires wield this much power, but he benefits from them. We're in a world right now where billionaires can buy and sell these platforms and wield uncheckable powers over who even gets to use them, One day it could be bringing back Trump. Another day it could be banning the Democratic candidate or a Republican one. Or it could be secretly minimizing or muting the speech of one party or the critics of, say, one billionaire owner of the platform. No matter what happens with this attempted takeover, I'll tell you one thing that might be a positive step if you want everyone to pay attention to this very confusing, fast-moving, technological, democratic world we live in. This whole clash is dramatically showing everyone this power imbalance, these flaws in the system. This is the kind of challenge that can only be met by equally competing powers, billionaire on billionaire clashes, or by the force of law. And that leaves some pretty big open questions on the table right now tonight. So we turn to one of the experts I quoted, the strategist Chayko Mandouri, and Washington Post reporter. We are back with Obama veteran Chayko Mandouri and Washington Post technology correspondent Elizabeth Dwoskin. Her latest piece is Elon Musk wants a free utopia as technologists clap back. Welcome to both of you. Che, we quoted you because of your points about this. What is important for people to understand about this story, even if they don't consider themselves techies, they don't have a Twitter account, but they might care a little bit about democracy?
Well, if you care about democracy, you must care about this story, because Twitter is essential to understanding Donald Trump's rise. It is essential to understanding Donald Trump's power. It is essential to understanding the Republican power and how they operate, and why Twitter has always been so central to that. Donald Trump desperately needs Twitter. And it's no coincidence, I would argue, that Elon Musk is doing this after Truth Social sort of became the Hindenburg of social media apps. The need for Donald Trump to get back on social media is extremely important. He used Twitter on a regular basis to dictate terms to the media as to what they would cover and how they should cover him. It was really essential to his appeal. It's something that Elon Musk knows well. And Elon Musk knows the power of Twitter very well to manipulate stock prices, to make money for himself, to expand his reach and his power. That is why he is doing this.
Yeah. I mean, that all seems to be borne out. And Elizabeth, to Che's point, Trump's forays to build his own platform have gone down like a proverbial Led Zeppelin, if you will. You cover this closely. How do you, as an objective reporter, gauge Elon Musk's repeated claims with some following? I mean, people buy it, that really he's just here to help and he's going to help again.
I mean, look, this is a person who we don't exactly know what his relationship with Trump is, but we do know that he said after Trump was kicked off Twitter and Facebook and all the other social platforms, he was the lone voice in the tech industry to say the platforms went too far and they're going to regret this decision. Since then, he's gone out of his way to talk about how he's a free speech absolutist. He's against censorship, just yesterday, he tweeted, a social media platform is only, doing a good job if, equal numbers of people on the left and right are unhappy with it, which sounds like both sides of them to me. So the question of, do we take him at his word? Does he just want an all-inclusive town square? I think you have to read between the lines a little bit, and not even that much, which is that he says that tech platforms should only be bound by the boundaries of the law. But in the US, we have the First Amendment, and the law says you can basically say anything short of yelling fire in a crowded theater. So essentially that would make these platforms, and that's what I argued in my piece, that it would regress these platforms like 5-6 years ago when they had no content moderation rules, and people were just they're still being bullied and harassed on these platforms, and they're still full of hate speech. But Twitter was a lot worse before, even 4 or 5 years ago. And there's hundreds of people at Twitter now who work on initiatives around taking down content. It's called Healthy Conversations. And those people are terrified that Elon Musk might run the company.
Well, Elizabeth, when you look at how much he's doing, I mentioned, it was careful to mention the contributions he's made because he's been very effective at a lot of things. But he's very busy and he's stretched very thin, and this is a massive and expensive undertaking. Do you see this as something that is important to him because it would vastly reinforce the rest of his business projects? Or do you also see the passion part of it, which he claims, as I showed, in fairness, he claims that his passion about these issues also guides the interest? We don't see other people at this net worth doing this. I mean, Bezos buying Washington Post looks like a tip jar compared to this.
Thank you for
No
mentioning
offense.
that.
Sorry, I don't. Just to be very clear, I don't mean that pejoratively. I just mean in the scale of it.
I mean, well, actually, the post did cost more than Bezos did pay more than what Musk would have paid for Twitter. But to your point,
wait, how much did he pay?
Did he pay $200 million for the post?
But we're talking about billions here.
Oh, right. And we're talking about 43 billion. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
It's been a long day. Thank you for correcting me. What I'll say, though, is that for Musk, you know, he has said that many times that, you know, he said this isn't for money. And one way you can think of this is like within Silicon Valley, buying Twitter, you know, who's going to buy Twitter has long been kind of a parlor game because Twitter has always been seen as this sort of undervalued asset. It's like a really cheap jewel. It's a jewel because it has this massive megaphone where influencers are on it, politicians, and yet, you know, it's a fraction of the size of a Facebook or a YouTube. So that's why Google's been interested in buying it. Salesforce has been interested in buying it. So you can see in kind of the masters of the universe world that Elon operates in, you know, buying Twitter is a parlor conversation. And then you also have a person who is a master marketer. He's probably one of the shrewdest marketers in the world. And Twitter is his main marketing mechanism. So wouldn't you want to own it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you make a very fair set of points. 30 seconds, Che. If he prevails, who benefits in American politics?
Republicans benefit in American politics. Elon Musk is doing this because he wants to give Donald Trump and the GOP a more powerful platform than they currently have in American politics. He wants to rebuild their influence. He's doing this not because he's Daddy Warbucks. He's doing this because he's Darth Vader, and Twitter is his Death Star aimed at American democracy and American politics.
Strong words. I'm going to have to call a hyperbole flag. I mean, Vader was a really bad egg. I mean, he was really murdering people in the intergalactic universe. So I'm calling a hyperbole flag, but we always welcome a Star Wars analogy. Che Komanduri, a repeat guest on The Beat. We appreciate you. Elizabeth Dwoskin, your first time helping us understand tech. I hope you'll come back. Thank you for joining us.